right. Hello. I am Dr. Nick, and along with
Rachel Renee.
Rachel Renee, and this is That Plant Life Podcast. And today we have a very special guest with us, Miss Zakiyyah. Hi, Zakiyyah. Welcome.
Hi, hello, ladies. How are you?
Hey.
We are well. We are so excited to have you today. For those of you that have not listened before, again, this is That Plant Life Podcast, and we are all about plants, yes, but also being rooted in wellness. And so we want to make sure that we are sharing information about your wellness, your overall wellness, your mental health, and spirit, mind, and body. And we love sharing how plants can help us do that. And we have Zakiyyah here with us today, who is an amazing representation of that. So, Zakiyyah,
Yes,
let's just start letting the people know who you are.
yes.
What is your business about, and what can you share with us of just about what you do and your love of plants?
Sure, absolutely. So I started A to Z Plants this year, actually, and I kind of went through a couple of things financially, and then I ended up kind of reverting back to some of my childhood memories and things that I found meaningful to me. And plants seem to always kind of like be there in a way. But coming from a nurturing perspective, that's what I needed in my life at that particular time. And that's kind of what I guess gave me the big push to start to Z Plants. And when you're at the right place at the right time and you have a passion for something, really and truly, I'll just say it's just all God, right? That just gives you that reassurance and guidance that you're in the right place.
Hmm.
So starting A to Z Plants was surely something that I was not on my bingo card for sure this year. But I'm really grateful for what my grandmother has poured into me, what my mom poured into me, what my husband poured into me, and just being able to just follow your heart. So what I do is that I do a lot of what they consider plant technicianal work. And any plant that is just needing care for, if it's at a restaurant or if it's at a hotel or if it's at a doctor's office, a high-rise apartment, I actually go and take care of those plants on a weekly basis. And some of them are outdoors or indoors. But that is the gist of A to Z Plants and kind of what I do on a weekly basis.
That's amazing. Okay. Can we just take a
Yes.
pause? So, when we go into these beautiful hotels and like the airport or whatever, and we see all these plants that we want in our house, it could be Miss Zakiyyah over here who
Yes,
is taking care of the plants. I
yes,
love that. That is so awesome.
That
yes.
is amazing. How did you come into that? Did you create this niche? Like, how did you find this
That's
career path?
that's a really, really good question. And, I do get that quite a bit. How did you get into this and what happened here? So I was laid off. I'll start there. So I was laid off this year and from my corporate job. And when I got laid off, I found myself with only so much sleep that you can, on a daily basis. After I would, get up for the day, look for a job, things like that, I would literally go to plant shops. And I found myself going to all of these plant shops here in the Dallas area, in the Dallas Metroplex. However, what draw me to the plant or what drew me to the plant shops was not looking for the nicest plant, but looking for plants that needed care. And you'd be surprised about how many local plant shops are selling plants that are not well kept, plants that
Mm.
are not in their best state. And so I would go to, one plant shop and see how they were actually taking care of the plant from the wholesaler, because that's really ultimately where we get these huge plants from the wholesaler. But when we bring them into our home, are they in their best care, right? And
Mm-hmm.
will that plant really survive? And so I would go to this place and I would go to that place and I'd be like, well, this place in particular really keeps their plants well. And so I reached out. One day we were talking, one of the managers at the plant shop, we were just talking literally about philodendrons. That is one of my favorite family. But anyway, she and I, we just sat and talked. And of course, I've just been a plant fanatic. And I looked around and I said, hey, you need some help, around here? And she said, oh, I can't hire you. And I said, oh, you can't hire me? Well, why? And her words were, you know too much. And I said, what? You don't really know how much you really know.
Mm.
I just take care of my plants here at home. And I didn't really, I mean, I have my own jungle here at home, but at that particular time, I didn't realize, I guess, how much I really knew. And literally, we just were talking, and I said, well, I'm just kind of looking for a part-time job at the moment. And I was just wondering if we could, just work together. Well, she says, I know someone that has a floral business, and he is looking for a plant technician, and I think you'll be great. I was like, I don't know if I'm the person for the job. I'm like, I don't know. And
That's
so
awesome.
she wrote the guy's name on the back of a card, and she handed me that card and she said, I want you to call him tonight. My goodness, I was so nervous. Didn't call him. In fact, I waited 3 days until I mustered up the courage to actually call. And so I called, and his name is Byron. And so I called Byron and I said, hey, this is Zakiyyah. I was told to reach out to you. And he said, oh my God, where have you been? I've been trying to wait for you to call me and I need to talk to you. So let's meet at Starbucks. And I'm like, today? And he's like, yeah. So I said, okay, God, I know I wanted you to move in my life, but not this fast. So I ended up meeting up with Byron and we literally sat for probably all of 3 hours and just talked about indoor plants, talked about every philodendron you can think of. And, it was really an experience. I started with Byron that next day, and he needed a plant technician. He has this floral business. However, outside of that floral business, he does have plants that are inside of luxury hotels and restaurants. And so he said, I need you to start working. And that's exactly what I started. And under his mentorship and guidance, and he's just been a phenomenal person that I've worked with, a wonderful mentor. And he, encouraged me to start A to Z plans and expand myself if I wanted to. But he's the gist of how I started.
Okay, so time out. Let's just take a moment, okay, to just take this all in.
Mm-hmm.
Zakiyyah just told us that she was laid off and then she had gotten all the rest she could. So she had to go out and explore, and she found herself in the plant shops. And then she had she was bold enough to ask, can I work with you? Now, even though this lady was like, oh no, you know too much for me, but I know someone.
Yes,
Okay. So every step of the way, it was like the path was laid out for her.
absolutely.
So, yes, the path was laid out. And now she meets this Mr. Byron who needs a plant technician. He's waiting on her. He's like, where have you been, girl? And she's over there nervous. And he's like, where have you been? And so I just want to highlight this part because we're talking to women who
Mm-hmm.
are, most of us, over 40,
Mm-hmm.
and a lot of people in this age range are kind of transitioning and shifting, making changes in career, or their
Mm-hmm.
kids are leaving the home or whatever. And so I just want to, first of all, before we just talk more about how amazing the story is and whatever else the amazing thing she has to share with us, I just want to highlight the fact that God has us. Like,
Yes.
no matter what No matter what we're experiencing, no matter what we're going through, there's something that has been put inside of you, an interest, a love, something that you are able to use, and you never know what it can look like. You never know. Like she said, she has her jungle at home. She didn't even realize how much she knew until she came across people to tell her, oh no, you know a lot, And so I just want to encourage people, like, it may not be plants for you, but there is something, especially if you're feeling like you're kind of at a crossroads, or you have decisions to make about your career path, or your financial security, or what have you. Just be encouraged by her story. Like, anything is possible, right? Anything is
Absolutely.
possible.
And I
Yes.
love that it's such an example of taking steps to create the life that you want.
Yes.
And just illustrating that there are steps. And it's not like the
Mhm.
steps, it didn't sound super complicated, but the fact that you were taking those steps, you were putting yourself out there. It's so
Yes,
amazing.
I know this is
Yeah.
going to sound cliche, but definitely opportunity met with preparation, right? I
Yes.
was prepared to look for that opportunity. I wanted that opportunity, and now it was at the right time. When I think back, I was hesitant within myself. I mean, I waited those 3 days before I actually called Byron, but I think also just having the courage, right? To like just step out on faith and trust yourself. I honestly, I mean, if anyone would have told you, Zakiyyah, you'll be taking care of 6 restaurants and 3 luxury hotels, I would have told you you're a lie, right? But even on top of that, let me even share this too. Floral hasn't always been my thing, okay? I'll put that out
Mhm.
there. But because of who I've been connected with, I've been able to learn. I've been able to
Mhm.
dabble into floral events and weddings and things that I thought I never would have thought about. And that's really, really a blessing to be able to be in those spaces that I didn't even ask to be in. And you just never know where it's going to take me. Or,
Yeah.
you know, from a listening perspective, where it can take you.
Mhm.
Um, I think it is really important for us to open up ourselves to some of well, first off, to the things that we love. Let's do that,
Mhm. Mhm.
because as we get older, we kind of get complacent into just kind of the day to day. I don't want to disturb anyone, or I don't want to kind of step out of the norm. I know that that can be very easy to kind of fall into, but I think when we decide to kind of just take the courage to say, you know what, I'm going to ask, or I'm going to do something different, is where it can lead you into places that you didn't think it would. And that's why I'm here today.
Hmm.
That's so
Mm-hmm.
awesome.
Love
I
it.
love it.
Yes.
Love it.
Yeah. Zakiya, I'm super intrigued because you mentioned your home jungle. So is that something that you help other people create and curate for themselves?
That's a good question. So I haven't really done more house calls. I would love to, and I've done some I would say house sitting, but plant sitting, I've done that as well. But I have not decorated any homes yet. I would love to venture off into that. I haven't had a client to ask me to decorate maybe a new home or their office space at home or something of that sort. But I have taken on clients to do plant care within their home with some of the plants that they already have, but I haven't ventured off into that area yet.
Okay, Dallas, she hasn't ventured off into that area yet, but
Yes,
Yeah. Get her
okay.
while you can.
You're right. Right. Yes. Yes,
yes,
absolutely. Well, I think that's amazing, just that you can come in and help people take care of their plants, and the idea of being able to talk to you, like if someone was purchasing a new home or moving or something, the idea of being able to talk to you and consult with you about that, I think that's amazing. That's beautiful.
yeah,
So if that's something you want to do, then I definitely hope that for you, and
thank you.
encourage people to reach out to you. But I definitely have a question for you. I would love to know, I know a little bit about your story and how you love that plants can help with healing and mindfulness and things of
Absolutely.
that nature. So I would love to know, first of all, how you came to realize that. Like, do what kind of sparked your interest in that? And if you have anything that you would love to share with people about how to cultivate that in their daily lives.
Sure. The majority of the listening audience, I believe, is female. And by nature, we are nurturers. I mean, that is a part of our genetics. And so, in addition to me being laid off, I'll just share I lost a baby. And that put me in a place of wanting to nurture something, right? And it doesn't have to be a loss, right? That anyone can nurture something, but even down to our mental health, we have to take a step back and realize like where we need help in those areas. And so caring for something can be rewarding, right? If I can care for this, and if I care for it in the right way, it will reward me with a new leaf. And I think when it comes to the therapeutic aspect of it, doing something bigger than yourself can be healing over a period of time. And that's how I connected my healing process to plants, to visiting all of those plant shops and nurseries and things like that. Um, that is I would even say this, even thinking on a chemical level, a bio level, it could be, what would you call that? Well, for me, it's dopamine. But when you buy a plant and it's like, oh my God, I need another one. Oh my God, I
Mm-hmm.
need another one.
Yeah, we
Yes.
know.
But then there's, okay, and that's why I have this
Mm-hmm.
jungle in here. But I think over a period of time, you realize that you're doing something bigger than yourself and something is pouring back into you. If it's meaningful, that can be very healing. That can be also intimate. That can be also a closeness, a oneness that you can have. Now, granted, for some people, is just a plant. But to you, it could be much more than that. The stories that I hear of people taking care of plants that they family has passed on, and they're still taking care of those plants. That's healing to me. That means healing, not just I'm taking care of something because it was brought to me. No, that is a small piece of the earth. If we want to break it down, that's a small piece of the earth that's in your home, and you're deciding to take care of that. I think that is the essence of who we are as a people, and to be able to take care of that is healing to me.
Hmm. It's beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. I love that. So is there anything that you personally do with your plants or dealing with plants that maybe helps you, especially in your healing journey of what you shared, and thank you for
Yeah.
being vulnerable and sharing that. But yeah, is there anything that you recommend? Like, let's say someone is just starting out on this plant journey and they are starting out because they want to buy a plant to honor someone in their life that they either lost, or they're going through a transition or what have you. And but this is their first time taking care of something. What would be some suggestions or thoughts you have about how they could mindfully take care of plants?
One day at a time. Take it
Yes.
one day at a time. Don't feel don't feel the need that you're going to lay down and get back up and the plant is going to bloom. Starting off there. Because when I hear some of my first time friends say like, "Oh, well, I need my plant to be big." It doesn't have to be big, right off the bat. But for a first timer, do some research, okay, on your type of lifestyle. I would start there. Are you always out of town? Are you always at home? Are you a homebody? Do you like to water? Do you not like to water? Think about some of those things. What is it that you want to close that needs a lot of care, or you want a plant that needs minimum to no care? And then also think about your at home environment, the conditions.
Mm.
Do you like to keep your house cold? I know some people like to keep their house really cold. So I would start there in terms of the environment, right? And then the plant care. From there, definitely visit some of the plant shops that's in your local area. If you need a plant shopper, I am here. I've done that too. But
So what does that mean? You go with
yes,
people?
absolutely. And we walk
Okay.
around the store and we talk about what the plants are and some of
Ooh.
their care routines and how you can incorporate that into your weekly basis or bi-weekly basis, or if it's a ZZ plant, then okay, we need to pull up off of it a little bit more
Mm-hmm.
than some of the peace lilies, right? But it is really I would say it's really a personal walk, right, with the
Mm.
plant. So if you are a first timer, I would suggest that, we kind of figure out first what type of lifestyle, even down to our pets, right? We have pets and we need to figure out, okay, what type of pet we want based on our lifestyle, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And so I would suggest that first. And then um, I know a lot of people like the number one question is, or the number one statement I hear is, I know plants are good for air purifying and those sort of things. I would definitely suggest definitely a ZZ plant or a Sansevieria, which is a
Mm-hmm.
snake plant. I would suggest those things. They do tend to be tolerant of low light, but a lighting would be great for those types of plants. But I would suggest some of those things for new plant moms or plant dads.
Yes.
No
Plant
discriminating.
Yes,
plant
that's
Yeah,
right.
we don't discriminate here. Plant dads are welcome. Plant dads are welcome.
Yes.
Yes, yes. Okay, great. I
Yes.
love it.
Yeah.
That's so good. So good. So good.
Yeah, it is so good. I love it. I mean, it's just your story and your journey is so interesting. I just like when you said you're a plant technician and you go into hotel, like all of that is just I'm still I'm still kind of taking it in because I'm like, this job just came out of nowhere. But then when you think about it, because I am in places sometimes and I'm like, well, who takes care of that plant over there? Or who does,
Yeah.
I do think about that. And
Now we
now I'm
know
like,
who's doing
oh,
it.
well, somebody like
Yeah.
Zakiyyah is doing that.
And you'd be
Yes.
surprised. You'd be surprised. I never would have thought I would be in this position because I mean, growing up, right, I was taught to honor the ground, honor the earth, and things like that. But when I would go out in places, I really wouldn't pay attention to any greenery that was all around, right? Growing up, it was just kind of like, "Oh, that's a ficus, okay." Or, oh, that's an aglaonemia over there. That's fine. But I really wouldn't think about the care that it takes. That plant just doesn't sit there and thrive on its own. It needs you, it needs someone.
Mm,
It needs to be watered, it needs proper lighting, it needs all of these things.
hmm.
And so it needs food, just like you and I. So to be able to be in this space is really an honor. It really truly is. I know some other ladies that I feel that would love to be in this position as well because they're very knowledgeable. But I think it also takes, like I said before, lots of courage to just stand up for what you really want, what you love, what you enjoy,
Hmm.
and just kind of walking out on faith and really allowing that to lead you into the spaces that you really want to be. I guarantee you, it was not on my bingo card. I'm telling you, it was not on my 2024
I
bingo
love
card
it.
to be
Uh,
running a plant business and to
It's
be helping
amazing.
so many people. People come up, hey, how do I take care of this plant? Send me a picture, sure. Take a picture. I love to look at it. Send me a video, and I'm like, okay, we need to pull up off the watering here. How often are we watering? Or wait, maybe we need to add a little more water. let's add a little shot glass of a little more water to it, kind of thing. But it's just a pleasure to be able to educate people and for them to have green within their spaces.
Mm-hmm.
I love saying from roots to results, because if the roots are healthy, and I mean, we can apply that into our own lives. If we are healthy in a mental space, then we can get better results for everyone and for ourselves. And that's how I'm looking at a plant as well. If the root base is healthy, we're going to have good results. And yeah,
I love
that's
that. From roots to results,
yes,
everybody. Roots to results. And like I said in the beginning, we are all about advocating for your whole wellness, like
yes.
overall wellness, spirit, mind, and body. And so we do want to make sure that our own foundation, the core of who we are, is healthy, and cultivating ways, plans that we can either get healthy or stay healthy and maintain our state of health or improve it in some way. We all may be at different stages of our wellness journey, but there's space for everybody, and we want to encourage, like, I love you, Zakiyyah. When you listen to another episode, you might hear me say roots to results, and I'll
Yes,
say this is from Zakiyyah now, but
Right,
I'm gonna
right.
let y'all know. Roots to results,
yes.
we gotta make sure the roots are good. And
Yes.
I think that, like, one of the best ways that we can do that is making sure that the space
Hmm.
around us, like our environment, is healthy and that it is, productive for us. And which is why I love one of the things that you talk about is creating healing green spaces, right?
Hmm.
I know when Rachel and I were reading about that, we were like, what?
Yes.
We need to hear about this. So, if you don't mind, could you just share a little bit about what that means to you?
Yes. So, for me, having green within the space is ultimately healing for me. It is. I think ultimately we have to, well, let me take a step back here. Well, it depends on a person's journey. Let me start there. It depends on a person's journey. Everything that I have in my home is sentimental. And I encourage the listeners, if you want to get a plant, please do at the beginning of the year. And I know everyone wants to get one during the spring, but I encourage people to get one at the beginning of the year. And that's so that you can be there for the whole life and journey of the taking care of something. And I'll go back to kind of what I mentioned before, having something you're pouring into something and something pouring back into you. It really, for me, has to be ministry, even in a way. And I don't want to go too religious here, but if you really think about it, it becomes a place of ministry, pouring into something, pouring your heart into it, right? Nurturing something. A lot of people say, oh, well, to take care of a plant, all you have to do is water it and care for it. Well, it's a little more than that. It's a little more than that. And that's for me. I really believe that having greenery within a space is not just a place of staging a plant there. I think it's about a presence of having greenery that can be healing for someone, for them to understand that what's outside can also be inside. And then taking care of it is a place of taking care of you, if you would like to reflect it that way. I hope that answered the question. But I do believe that if you can pour into something and it pour back into you in the way that you think that it should be poured into, it'll be rewarding every time.
Hmm.
Every time.
Yeah. Thank you so much for sharing that. Like, I found, like, as I started kind of going deeper into my plant journey, that taking care of the plants itself was so therapeutic, and it caused me to slow down, because you have to take a moment. You're not just dumping water in a plant. You're observing that plant. You're seeing what else it needs. does it even really need water at this time? Or have I been watering it enough? It's like you're adjusting, you're learning, and it's like being present in the moment. Like you talk about mindfulness, and I just think it's all those things. It really helps us to get more in tune with the plant, but also with ourselves. Like it's creating these quiet moments that maybe I didn't have.
Yeah.
Just
I
an
forgot
amazing
to mention
process.
patience as well.
Mm,
Patience with something as small as a plant, right, will require you to realize to have more patience with yourself. When
mm,
you have more patience with yourself, then you have more patience with others, which leads to therapy, which could lead to healing within you for whatever that you can sit back and realize about yourself, not relax, but you sit back and realize, you know what, I could be a little more patient about that. I can be a little more patient with myself. Oh my goodness, I need to be more patient with this plant because it's not growing as fast as I want it to grow. And then you kind of take a step back and apply that to your own self and say, okay, well, why am I not growing as fast as I want to grow? Why am I not growing in these areas of my life that I want to grow? Maybe I need to pour into
mm.
myself in those other areas to watch myself grow and become and blossom how I would
Yes.
want to be.
Goodness. Love. Listen, to be able, just like Zakiyyah was talking at the beginning, like
Hmm.
to be able to do what she's doing, it's like she's created this by following all the steps. She kind of created this space where she can just do what she loves to do. And just even having this conversation right now, like we're sitting here talking about plants, y'all. We're sitting here talking about how plants
All day.
relate to our wellness and our, our wholeness. And I just felt, as you were talking, there's so many powerful lessons that we can take away from nurturing something outside of ourselves and how that relates to the nurture of ourselves. And that's one of the things that me as a mental health coach am so passionate about, because when people come to me for assistance in any number of things, one of the things that I ask them is, how much time do you have for yourself? And usually the answer is, oh, I don't know the last time I had time for myself. No, I don't have time for that. I don't have time for self care. I don't have time to be still. I don't have time to journal. I don't have time to go to exercise, and these are, or even breathe properly. Like, we don't breathe properly. And so, like, to even take in a breath. And so, like, that's the thing I love about one of the things I love about what you've said, Zakiyyah, today, and just my own journey with plants is that, and what Rachel said, like it's caused her to slow down. It's caused her, because you're observing the plant, you're observing what that plant needs. And I just want people to encourage people to observe what you need. I want us to raise our level of awareness of what we need in our lives, in our space, what we need filling our minds, what we need before our eyes, and what's coming out of our mouths, because what's coming out of our mouths is indicative of the stuff that we're pouring in. So just really being able to slow down, to pause, and um, do a self evaluation of where are you, and how are you doing with your own wellness. And Zakiyyah, I love what you said. This is my excuse to buy a new plant. Okay, because Zakiyyah said
Yes,
that at
go
the
do it.
beginning of the year that we should buy a new plant. So
Yes.
I'm just obeying the
That's right.
rule of buying a new plant. But I love that concept of, yeah, let's buy it at the beginning of the year and track with that plant through every season of the year. I love it. And it's just, to me, also just a way of marking like the newness of the year. It's a new start. You can have a clean slate. You can begin to, you can begin to set new habits for yourself, especially if, and not just like the typical ones that we see, not that you shouldn't do, like, let's go to the gym and all that stuff. All that's great. And we'll talk about all that kind of stuff too. But let's also talk about like our minds, our mindset. Like, what is your mindset going into a new year? What is your mindset about how you're going to take care of yourself? And it doesn't, like, I know that both Rachel and I are people that we don't like to be confined to and put into a box and put into bubbles. And so it doesn't have to be this rigid thing that you have to follow all of these rules. It can be just like, what is your intention for the year? How do you want to move through the year? How do you want to experience your year? And everything that you do, you can track back and see, does it align with what I said? Does this align with how I said I want to experience my year? Because if it doesn't, then maybe there's some adjustments. The same thing that you would do with a plant. Like, this plant is looking crinkly, or it's turning yellow, or it's brown. It's the leaves are fall. What's going on with this plant? What do we need to adjust? We need to have that same intentionality for ourselves, within ourselves. So thank you, Zakiyyah, for bringing that and for encouraging me to get a plant in the new year, because I will be getting
Yes,
one.
please get
Me as
one.
well.
Yes. Yes.
Goodness.
I was also going to say, even throughout the year, if you go through something, don't feel bad if your plant didn't survive.
Yeah. Oh, yes.
I have come across a couple of incidents or situations where people just feel defeated because the plant didn't survive. Life happens. Let's just say that. Life happens. And
Mm,
maybe it was something within the space that that plant could not survive within, but that does not mean the plant journey is over. We can always go get another plant, and that's
mhm.
okay. That's
Yes.
okay. And let's try it again. So
Yeah.
don't feel the need to, they'll say, oh, kid, you have a green thumb. I have a brown thumb. No one has a brown thumb. No, I don't believe that. No one has a brown thumb.
All
It's
right.
just
Nobody
about
has a brown
nurturing
thumb.
whatever you need to nurture the right way for us to get the right results. That's it.
Love that.
That's
Love
So go
awesome.
it.
get your plants at the beginning of the year and watch them grow. And if by, March that plant didn't survive, it's okay. Get you a new
Hmm.
one and start
That's
over
right.
and keep trying,
Mm-hmm.
because I think everyone is capable of growing something.
Love it.
So good. I just really appreciate you, Zakiyyah, and coming, sharing your story. And I feel like you just have brought so much hope. Like, I feel like
Mm,
people hearing your story can pick so many gems up just from hearing how plants have been part of your healing process, how you've created this career path out of what you love. Like, there's just so many things that people can glean from your story, and I truly appreciate you for sharing it. And I hope more people hear your story and get to interact with you and learn from how you're creating your life with plants. It's just amazing.
it
So
is
with
so.
that being said, how can people get in touch with you?
Yes, so you can get in touch with me on Instagram at A2Z, and that's going to be ATOZ Plants. And plants is spelled with a Z and not an S. Same thing on Facebook, A2Z Plants. And my link is going to be in those areas. I'm not sure if TikTok is going to sunset. I am trying to think of what's the next platform outside of TikTok, but I am encouraging everyone to go like, share, and follow. Any inquiries, just please feel free to message me. I don't feel that I need to give a consultation fee or anything like that because it's purely from the heart.
That's beautiful. And
Yeah.
we will put all of that information into the details of the show so that people can
Thank you.
find you and reach out to you, especially, not only, but especially if you are in Dallas, okay? Especially if you are in Dallas. And we want to make sure the Dallas folks can find you and connect with you. And take advantage of all of the wisdom that you have to share. As Rachel said, I am so thankful. We're both so grateful that you've been with us to share your story. And we want to encourage all of our listeners to like, share, and subscribe at that Plant Life podcast on all social media platforms. And thank you so much for joining us today. I'm Dr. Nic, along with Rachel Renee, where we're encouraging you to stay rooted in wellness.
Thank you, ladies.
All right. And